The Morris Community Foundation is pleased to sponsor this community video called Challenges of the Future. We hope to give you a little historical background, then explore the present-day community, its strengths and weaknesses, its opportunities and threats, and finally the future. The ultimate reason for the Morris Community Foundation to produce this video is to get people thinking about what they can do about the future of Morris. The character of present-day Morris is the direct result of its past. The evolution of its transportation, its industry, and local agriculture has influenced the development of Morris both geographically and economically. Morris was a canal town located on the Illinois and Michigan Canal and named for Canal Commissioner Isaac Morris. Completed in 1848, the I&M Canal was a new water route linking Chicago with the Mississippi, attracting laborers and settlers from Ireland, England, Germany, and Norway. Morris became the county seat and focal point for agriculture and local commerce. It was the canal that put Morris on the map, but the railroads arrived in 1852, bringing more settlers and moving the center of town north along Liberty Street towards the new station for the Rock Island Railroad. The railroad, and later the interurban lines, caused a slow decline in passenger service on the canal, and by the early 1900s, all commercial traffic on the canal was discontinued. During the Depression years, parks were developed along the canal, and recently there's been a resurgence of interest in the canal for recreation. The Grundy County Courthouse, City Hall, Fire Department, local banks, and churches have provided a core for a thriving downtown that spread along Liberty Street. Even in the face of factors that destroyed downtowns across the country, Morris has kept an attractive, vital business district. What is now known as nostalgic downtown Morris has survived because of a partnership between the city of Morris and business. In the 1930s, water transportation again changed the face of Morris. A major engineering effort was completed again to link Chicago with the Mississippi River. It was called the Illinois Deep Waterway, with major locks just east of Morris at the junction of the Des Plaines and Kankakee River. Although the river has provided wonderful recreational opportunities, a local committee has called it the working river, with shipments of oil and sand and coal moving daily through Morris. Shipments of grain grew over the years until for a time in the 1950s, Morris was to become the world's largest inland grain shipping port. While grain elevators were among the first structures to appear along the canal to facilitate agriculture, industry was not far behind. The Woelfel Tannery began in 1858, processing hides from local farms and employing over 1,000 men. The tannery, Coleman Hardware, and the Gebhardt Brewery settled along the canal. But by the 1900s, industry began to move east in Morris, where it could be served by the railroad. For over 80 years, the Morris Paper Mill was the community's largest employer. Over the years, the paper mill was joined along Armstrong Street by Jefferson Smurfit, a paper manufacturing company, Sponge Cushion, a carpet pad manufacturer, and the Northwestern Corporation, a manufacturer of coin-operated machines best known for the glass-top gumball machines invented by the local Boland family. It was again an improvement in transportation that changed the face of industry in our area. First, Route 6, then in the late 1950s, Interstate 80 was opened and sparked a major development of industry east of Morris. First, the Lumex, now an Alcoa plant, produced extruded aluminum. Then Northern Petrochemical, now called Equistar Chemicals, opened in the late 1960s, producing polyethylene and polypropylene plastic resins and employing over 400 people. The nation's first privately owned, commercially operated nuclear power plant was opened in 1960 east of Morris at Dresden. In the last 40 years, 6 additional nuclear power plants have been built within 20 miles of Morris, and the oil-fired Collins plant just outside of Morris has added to the community's tax base and employment base. Even with the growth of the high-tech petrochemical and power industries, agriculture has provided the economic stability and core values that continue continue to influence our community. The production of corn and soybeans has likewise become high-tech, with GPS guiding the scientific application of pesticides and fertilizers. Yet the family farm has preserved open space and the traditional values important to our community. As in the past, our transportation network of river, rail, and roads is pushing new housing and business toward Morris. The challenge is to keep our transportation network from choking the community. Our industry vital enough to provide good jobs and adequate tax base, and our agriculture as a complement to our economic stability, our core values, and our quality of life. What have people said about the biggest challenges to our future?
Growth, I believe, is a good thing. I am one of those advocates that if you're not growing and moving forward, then you're going backwards. And we're going to be in a situation in this community that the growth coming out of the suburbs is coming right at us. And with that in mind, we need to be prepared for many issues. Now, Morris has been blessed with a good infrastructure in the means of streets, water, sewer, and the zoning that the community has.
We have been working very diligently to keep our potable water system up to speed and expanding, along with the project for a brand new sewage treatment plant. We also have to take in consideration the planning of the community. Everything has to work together, from single-family residential to multifamily to commercial and even, hopefully, industrial.
Today, Will County is the #1 county in growth in the state of Illinois. Kendall County is #3. They're both 10 miles away from Morris. They're both growing towards Morris. I believe that Morris has to have a comprehensive plan that will expand beyond the 1 mile presently planned and go at least 5 miles. I believe the area south of Morris also has to be entertained as expansion for Morris, with a separate water and sewer plant perhaps.
There is a population moving in our midst that is being touched by a few, but not by all of us, and that is the growing Hispanic population within Morris. How do we begin to reach our brothers and sisters who are becoming a part of our neighborhoods? And I think this is going to be a growing issue for us as churches. How do we begin to meet the spiritual needs and perhaps assist in some of the other needs that may be a part of an increasingly growing population in our midst?
We've had many people move into Morris in the past few years, and many of them are Hispanics, and we need to make these people feel welcome, provide jobs for them, and have them come into Morris and feel good. Morris needs to be a welcoming community.
My #1 concern would be traffic. I came to town 30 years ago, just after the Route 47 was widened, the overpass over the railroad tracks, a great asset to our community. Then we went down to that 2-lane bridge we all remember. I feel that in the next year, when that bridge is completed, our north-south area will be in great shape. I do have concerns about the traffic going to the west on Route 6. With the new White Oak School and all of the new building going on to our west, I feel there's a real need for a widening of the road, turn lanes, to help alleviate some of the problems out from Park Boulevard on west to Saratoga Road.
Well, the biggest issue facing the city of Morris, I guess, would be growth and how to control it. Right now, we're experiencing a lighter growth than we anticipated, but in the future, it's coming faster and faster. And I think we need to make all the infrastructure improvements we need to accommodate it.
Being in the transportation business, probably I would have to focus on infrastructure. When you drive around this town, you can see that with all this growth and all these people coming, we're going to have a problem getting around.
I look at some of the suburban areas and see what they have become, And those are some of those things I don't want to happen here in Morris.
There's obviously a lot of people in Morris that have lived their whole lives here, and they're comfortable with the small town atmosphere and the conservative views, and they feel it's a great place to raise a family, and we feel that way as well. But we feel also that growth is inevitable, and we should accept that growth is going to happen, and we need to plan accordingly.
Along with the growth of Morris, there are concerns about the education system, the size of the hospital, if the fire department and the police department need to increase in growth, obviously, as well. So all of those issues need to be addressed.
One of the concerns that I think that we have as a community is to be able to maintain the quality of our community in the face of the quantity growth, providing for the senior citizens. We hear a lot about our children, and there's a lot of things that we can work with and be doing in terms of schools and things for children, but I think we've also got to be concerned about the other end of the spectrum, the senior citizens, that we don't find our people having to move away when they retire to find the quality of life, but we've provided it here so they can stay.
I do feel that our natural resources in this county are in danger of becoming extinct, and we need to maintain that or work in harmony with that. We can't have some growth and building but have natural resources preserved. We are, I think, in need of perhaps a forest preserve district or some type of method to get large tracts of land set aside.
I hope that as they are doing now, the mayor and the community are trying to keep everything from growing too much.
And I liked Morris, 5 years ago, the way it was. So to me, it's growing too fast.
I think it's incredibly important to the community that we retain our small town character, which is the very fiber of the community. Its closeness, its caring for one another.
I'm certainly looking for growth, but I want it to be an orderly growth and something that the city government plans for, and we as the population also plan for.
One of the largest concerns that I see as Director of Economic Development for this region is our ability to generate jobs and quality jobs in this area for the people that are moving in and the people that live here. We certainly see the residential growth, and my concern is can we see the job growth to go along with that, or are we creating growth of commuters?
You can have a controlled growth, you can have a growth that's out of control, and I think it's very important for our community, as has been in the past, to have the controlled growth.
Growth's a funny thing. The only thing for sure about growth is you're not going to stop it. It's just what you're going to do about it. Now, with proper planning and a vision for how you want that growth to affect Morris, it can be a great thing. Now, it can also be a bad thing if it's not done in a manner that's going to allow the community to keep its identity.
One of the most important issues I work with as the county board chairman is to get people to talk to each other. I need to get citizens to talk to mayors and county officials to talk to mayors and village presidents and trustees. And we need to talk today. The problems that we're going to solve in the next couple years are issues that if we don't want to end up where our neighboring counties are, we need to be brave enough to try something different. And the way we'll figure out just what that is to talk to each other.
Another issue I think that's going to be so important is for us to be able to distinguish as we're planning for growth. I've heard people say, well, this is an agriculture community, or this is a residential community, or this or that, and I guess my response to those people would be there's room for everybody in Grundy County if we plan accordingly. The last concern that I see is the sophistication of the developers that we're dealing with now that are interested in Grundy County. We have a new dynamic in our area. No longer is it maybe the old landowners or people that have lived here forever wanting to develop a subdivision, but you have brokers coming in, you have national developers coming in, and they're business people, and they're in to make some money, develop their project, and move on to the next project. And so it will be incumbent on us as residents and leaders and city planners to make sure that we get the kind of development that we want, because we cannot rely on them to keep it at maybe the level or the quality That will be our job to maintain that now, and we need to be as sophisticated as the developers are that we're dealing with right now.
I truly believe that the biggest issue facing Morris is the issue of growth and also planning, because it affects so many things. It affects the school system, it affects the planning for recreational activities, and so many things from an economic as well as an educational perspective. Without planning, we face a very difficult situation here in our community, as we have experienced from our neighboring communities.
Growth with no regard for the effect that it will have on its infrastructure, on its services, programs, and education can be detrimental, even destructive to a town.
And so I think as a community we need to be proactive in planning our roads so that we don't have these massive traffic jams, and then we need to widen roads and disrupt businesses and homeowners taking part of their land to widen the roads. I think we should be thinking about that now so that it's not such a shock.
Along with smart growth, there needs to be an emphasis placed on smart, participative citizenship. It's very easy for individuals to sit back and criticize what the city fathers or the county fathers are doing. What we need is more active citizenship, engaged citizenship from all levels within the community, from all organizations, from all ages of people. And by being engaged in citizenship, we will be able to move forward at a much quicker pace.
Also, the downtown has made its transition from an everyday needs area to a destination point for shoppers and for entertainment.
And that the new population and the old population here understands what a benefit we have in a vital downtown. A problem we have is letting them know what we have down here to offer. We have a perceived parking problem downtown, and perception is reality, unfortunately. We may not have a shortage of parking to offer, but it appears that way to a customer that wants to go to a certain store and buy a certain item. They want to pull up on that block and park within a few feet of the front door of that business. And if those parking spaces are full, they have a perceived parking problem, which is a blessing also. It's not all a bad problem. If we had wide open spaces and no cars parked in our downtown, that would be a worse problem than having to find a parking place. The small town friendliness, the canal port attraction, the nostalgic feeling, the importance of the upkeep of the buildings and the businesses. We can't have empty businesses and be a vital downtown. We need to support the businesses that are here and promote local support for that.
When that expansion occurs, it's going to create for Morris several different kinds of impacts, but very specifically there'll be an impact that's going to tax the educational system. And that's going to tax the system in terms of books, programs, planning, faculty, staff, buildings, construction. And I believe very strongly that if we don't take some affirmative action now, begin thinking about this impact, begin planning for it, Morris could well be left behind educationally.
Our primary concern would be funding, and that takes several aspects. One is the question on how we fund our schools, and that in Illinois it's based on property tax, and how that we manage to get enough money to fund the schools. That certainly is a problem. But it's more than that. Some of it has to do with the fact that we have many mandates, whether they come from the state or the federal government, requirements that we must fulfill, yet they do not come with the money, those unfunded mandates.
And in addition to that, it's the issue of the total needs of children. We have so many children who come from situations where it's a single parent family and they're working and they have tremendous needs that are very difficult to be met, and we become the second parent to many of the children. In addition to that, we also have children who have tremendous abilities, and one example is our fourth grade students. 86% of our fourth grade students have access to and utilize the internet on a daily basis. So there's a great dichotomy that exists there that is very difficult to deal with within the public school system.
I know we have a large school that we built, White Oak, but it doesn't seem like that's where the growth is headed. It looks like it's towards Saratoga and Nettle Creek. So I don't know if we need to change boundaries or form a unit district. But I do think that's another area that we need to be proactive in instead of reactive, because that will do nothing but hurt the children.
I think that Morris has a great school. I think our curriculum is very good. We offer a lot.
There will be big changes, more changes, other stations, other locations. We are a volunteer fire department at this time. We do pay our people for by the hour for the calls that they do respond to. I think that we have to address the question of full-time firemen in the near future, and when I say near future, the next couple of years. And when I say full-time firemen, I'm talking 24 on and 48 off. The ambulance situation, the fire department runs the ambulances. We contracted out to Kurtz. They ran over 3,000 calls last year. As you're aware, we have 3 rest homes and a hospital in this city, and they keep the 2 ambulances busy. They're on 24 and off 48.
But we have some other issues I believe that are going to be important. One of those is the taxpayer mix. As that population grows, it brings people, and people bring children, and children we want to be educated well. With all of that comes cost, and putting that tax burden on people it can be overwhelming. So we need industry, and we need industry within the boundaries of Morris. And Morris doesn't have much industry within its boundaries at this point. So I think boundary issues as well as taxpayer mix is going to be vital.
Grundy County industries have typically paid over 50% of the real estate tax bills in our community, and they have been huge supporters of our taxing districts and also some of the best jobs in our area. As those industries get older, and we have a very hard time attracting new industry to our area at the same level and quality because of our machinery and equipment tax. I have a very large concern that we are going to be relying on these industries that may not be here forever.
One of the most important issues I feel that's facing the city of Morris at this present time is the machine and equipment tax, and not only the city of Morris but also the county of Grundy. That tax has stifled the industrial growth for this entire area, being that the county of Grundy is the only one in the state that has this type of a taxing structure.
In 1970, Grundy County chose to tax machinery and equipment in a similar fashion to real estate. Since that time, the state of Illinois has passed a law that would permit counties to participate in a fund to replace the money lost by not taxing M&E. This fund is created by an additional income tax on industry. That makes double taxation for industry. There is a thought that perhaps M&E should be removed. I think it has to be done cautiously in a fashion that will make it revenue neutral.
We need to create more businesses or industry to come into town, and I know that's going to take a lot of work with the county board to help get this unfair tax eliminated on industry that's delaying them from coming into town.
Speaking as a major industry in the county, our machinery and equipment tax situation. This is an issue that's been in the press quite a bit and on the radar screen quite a bit for a number of years. And we've lost an even number of opportunities to attract manufacturing business and good jobs to the Morris community. The way that a company and a town can work hand in hand is the way we in fact do work hand in hand.
I think the other challenge that we're going to have in Grundy County is to attract quality jobs here. For example, places that pay $20 an hour and have excellent benefits and put money into our taxing districts and so forth.
The most important issue facing Morris and Grundy County is more jobs. I was really surprised to find out that we are the highest percent unemployment around.
The worst thing that could happen is that an industry wants to come in and does not feel that the county is ready for them from an infrastructure standpoint, from a residential standpoint, in order to accept any workers they'll be bringing in or hiring from the local community.
I have opposed landfills in the past. I believe it is the most dangerous item that we have in our community. It brings in all the toxic waste from all over into our community, is piled there forever, and the only thing protecting our community drinking water is a man-made liner. Now, the owners, operators of landfills are only responsible for 15 years after closing. No one knows how long a liner will last, and if it doesn't, it is the taxpayer's responsibility.
Well, my primary concern right now is municipal solid waste, your garbage. Although nobody likes them, I still think we need the landfills until we can develop the technology, improve the technology to take care of that waste.
Our not-for-profit hospital has been providing health care to the Morris community for almost a century now. This is an exciting time for Morris and the hospital. As our community grows, we also are evolving. The hospital has a rich history of caring, evidenced by anecdotal stories going all the way back to when the hospital was on the 3rd floor of the Collins building in downtown Morris. Today, the hospital is busy carrying out its mission of improving the health of area residents. We have over 150 physicians, 700 employees, and 300 volunteers, delivering health care to over 100,000 residents each year.
The faith community plays a very important role in the city of Morris, and in the 5 years that I've been present here, I've watched churches come together on many different issues, supporting a lot of the community services that exist here, and it's a real joy to be able to work together to find ways of meeting spiritual needs as well as community needs.
The churches provide a big part of what makes a community a great community. Good people make good communities, and the churches need to be encouraged in their ministries, in their work in the church, in the community. They provide a sense of closeness and fellowship among people, and that's what makes a community a real enjoyable place to live.
Well, there's an issue coming up that I think is very, very important, and that's the creation of a park district. Almost every community that is a going community has a good park district. I think it means so much to a community with a good park district. It provides everything from to seniors, to kids, to everybody.
The development of a park district brings our community together. It provides opportunities for all residents of all ages. It provides programs or would provide programs for our young children, for our teenagers, and for our senior citizens to have a better quality of life. A park district, we feel, would also promote health and wellness, provides all kinds of opportunities for physical and educational classes.
My only concern with the park district is once you turn it over to your board, the fees can go up substantially, and there's no way to put a cap on that.
As to the needs for a park and recreation district in Morris, I don't think that there's any question that the recreational opportunities that have been provided in the town have diminished over the past 20 years rather than expanded. I think that there's a great need for one, but it needs to be done in a responsible manner and with commissioners that take into consideration the residents' desires and concerns over taxation. I think, though, that when the residents look at the opportunities that can be provided by a park and recreation district, they will find that there are just wonderful services, recreational opportunities that can be provided for the residents, including the adults and the senior citizens that are simply not existent at the present time. As to cultural opportunities for adults, they simply don't exist. We might have the opportunity to have art classes. We might have the opportunity to have a community band, a community chorus, things that don't exist at this time.
I think that a park district would be a great thing for Morris because it would offer everyone something to do. You know, we could have maybe more community functions together, maybe summer camps. It would give kids something to do, you know, maybe more than just in the summer, you know, a place to go hang out at night, you know, go swimming, go play a game of basketball with your friends, just things like that.
If we're going to grow as a community, I think we need that because many of the people that come here, they love Morris. I've had them tell me that in my business many times. We love Morris, but I wish there was more things for us to do here in this city. And many of them, where they've come from, have a park district, and they talk about all the classes that are available through a park district, all the different lectures and so on that they have there. So I think that's one of the most important things that we need here in this community.
The future of Morris is very bright.
My vision for the future of Morris is to maintain the character that has made Morris what it is today.
Together we'll make this community a place that people will continue to look upon with pride and know that neighbors are helping neighbors. I'm excited about the possibilities for Morris as it grows.
I hope that all of us as a community can have great vision as to what we want our community to look like.
And my vision of Morris would be to be able to continue that small town atmosphere, but at the same time plan for and take into consideration the needs that we have as we grow, because we definitely are going to grow.
Every individual in our community needs to feel some kind of a connectedness to what's going on, not only daily but weekly and throughout the year, and even for the long-term vision. If we feel this connectedness to the evolving community that we're a part of, then I think we become more participative in what we do.
In the future, there will be even more people move into Morris, and we need to have those opportunities for them. We need to have controlled growth rather than just growth that is running rampant. But the people who come here need to be made to feel a part of Morris, a part of the great environment that exists here.
It is a beautiful town. We have a lot of new people. We have a lot of new shops, and hope to see it grow.
A growing community that's well planned, that's a place where people want to come to.
There's going to be some magic in holding on to our heritage and using that as a base while embracing and controlling the future.
We've got a town here that has more volunteer spirit than any other community. And you can see it when you look up and down the streets. You can see it in the neighborhoods, how clean the neighborhoods are. So it's the people that make this town, and it'll only get better with those people.
I moved to Morris back after the Korean War in the 50s, and I never regretted 1 minute moving to Morris. I am very happy to have all my children educated in Morris. It has always been a very vital, growing community.
We feel that Morris is a wonderful place to raise a family. The people here are very genuine. They come together as a community to help one another, and we feel like it's a wonderful place to live.
We can be diverse, strong, and really move well into the next century ahead of the game.
Morris is a great community, and we want to keep it that way, and we want to make it even better.
And I want Morris to remain simple, and I want it to remain the nice town I came to.
Oh, I love the community. I mean, people are friendly. We have wonderful shops. Our town is just very, very clean.
But I'm worried that someday there will be no back roads to take.
I think I would consider Morris as a place to come back to because I like how it's still like a small town and it's still quaint.
Morris exists without the surrounding suburbs. We could pick Morris up and drop it in middle Iowa, and it really wouldn't change that much because it does have a reason to exist. And we just have to make sure that we don't lose that identity as all this growth takes place.
The Morris Community Foundation has been pleased to produce this overview of our community's future. However, we hope this video is not the end of this project. Rather, we hope it is only the beginning of a dialogue with everyone in our community as to how they feel about the future of Morris and how you are willing to help.